Hey, what's up? Today I'm going to go over dispatchers and delegates. And what I mean by dispatchers and delegates is that in this circumstance, I'm going to create one event and then I'm going to create that as create an event dispatcher for that. And then I can call that from different blueprints and stuff like that to trigger their events. So for this instance, I'm going to have a trigger, which if you go through it, it will cause other things to happen. So let me start by clicking third person. And like I did last time, I'm going to try to go over this in as much detail as possible. So I'll try to talk it in a way that anyone can understand it. I'll do my best at least. So I'm going to check starter content here so that we're going to use the starter content, and I'm just going to name it my project because it's like the default one it starts with, and I'm going to create. Doesn't matter what you name it though. All right, we're in here now. I'm going to hit Shift F11 to maximize the screen. And I'm going to start by creating the actual trigger first. So I'm Control Space to, Shift F11 to maximize the screen. Control and then Space will open up this. So right click and then we're going to get a blueprint class here, and it's going to be an actor. And I'm going to call this BP trigger. And I'm just going to make it something that if you pass through it, then it's going to activate. So let me just get a collision box. It'll be box collision. And then I'm going to change the dimensions of this to 4, 4, and 2. Just so it's easy to walk through. And then hidden in game, I'm going to uncheck so I can see this, so I can pass through it without having to try to Marco Polo it. And I'm going to compile save that, and then go to event graph, and I want to create an event dispatcher here, and I'm just going to call it trigger, and don't need any of this box. I'm going to click on the box here because I actually want to create a collision out the box. You can also right click. Actually, I'll just right click. You can right click on it, and where it says add event, we want on component begin overlap. And what that means is when a certain component goes through it, it's going to activate whatever here is here. So I can call by dragging this onto here and clicking call this event. So on component begin overlap with this box, this collision box, it's going to call for this trigger, which is not connected to anything yet. We actually have to create that logic. So that's actually all I need to do with this entire thing. I'm going to move this thing back a little bit. There you go. And I'm just going to put this BP trigger right here. And then I'll have things happen in other places. So what do I want to happen? I'm going to do another blueprint class of type actor here. And I am going to BP underscore, and I'm going to do a door. So when I collide with this trigger here, this door is going to open. And let me add some static meshes. This is a little bit nostalgic for me because one of my very first tutorials that I've ever did as in me following a tutorial, one of the first tutorials I've ever followed was me opening a door. So I'm basically just doing the same thing. Let me static mesh, and I'm going to rename this F2 to rename, by the way. So we need two parts of the door because it comes in two parts, but we also want those parts separated because we want the door frame and we want the door to be separated so that the door can open. So door frame, go over, while you have door frame hovered, go over here to where it says static mesh. Click that drop down menu and just look up door frame. And it should be right here, static mesh. And then where it says door, click the drop down menu here and door, SM door. And it's not positioned correctly, so we can just move it over. And it doesn't quite click quite right, so it doesn't hit that point, but you can see it's like halfway through. So right now it's at 40, so it's probably just going to be 45, and that should fit in the door frame. Yeah, it's pretty good. Compile and save. Go back to the event graph here. Wait. Do we need to do anything with these doors? Nah, okay. All right, so let's go into variables here. We want to create a new variable. What should I call this? It's for the trigger, but I'll just call it trigger, whatever. This will be BP trigger of object reference. And I want to create a custom event first. I probably shouldn't have got rid of the begin play, but whatever. So custom event. And this is going to be for opening the door. So I'm creating my own event for opening the door, which I am going to get a timeline. Add timeline. Oops. And go double click on here, and I'm going to make the length of this 1. Track, and I want to add a float track, which floats are decimal numbers. So I want to actually right click and add a key to the curve float here. So I'm going to add 2 of these keys, and I want to zero this one out to 0 and 0. One of those zeros is the time, and the other one is the value of it. And these values don't mean anything yet, but we're going to make them mean something. So actually, if you click both of these things, it'll scale to the size of the graph, except I didn't put ones in these. So now I can scale to the graph. Okay, so this is the graph size here. Now that I have one highlighted, you can actually control and click the other one. And that way they're both highlighted. Then you can right click and click auto, and it curves it in a way where it's a lot more smooth, the movement of things. So compile and save. And that's all I need with that. And what I'm going to be updating is going to be the relative rotation of the door. But in order to do that, I also need a lerp. So lerp stands for linear interpolation. It's like the slang word for it. If you hold control and click and drag, you can just drag the thing over. And if you click hold alt and then click, it'll just disconnect it entirely. So if I click hold, it'll just do that. So what is this? So on a line there is 2 points, and these are the 2 points of that line. In this case, this is going to be 90 because I want it to be a 90-degree angle. As for this thing, the alpha is the degree within the line. So anywhere within A and B, the alpha number is whatever number is in between that line that you have currently selected. So 0 to 90. Let's see. I want a... Let me grab the door here and get a relative rotation off that. Relative rotation. Set relative rotation. And I want to update this relative rotation with the timeline. So as the seconds go and the values change, I want to update the relative rotation. And I'm going to do this by connecting here. As you can see, these things don't match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this struct pin because I want to attach to the Z here. Because if we look back at the viewport here and I click on the door and the rotate thing here, this is the Z axis here for the rotation. And we want it to swing out this way. Because you can see, like, once it's at 79 right now, but you can see it's opening up. So Control Z to undo. Go in here, and I'm going to attach this lerp to the new rotation for the Z yaw. And really that's all I should be doing for the door. And then I'm going to hit a begin play here so we can actually activate this event on the trigger. So let me event begin play this. And let me grab this trigger here. And if we click assign on trigger, so if we assign it on trigger, bind event to on trigger, so whenever the trigger gets called here, it's going to activate this trigger and it's going to do this event. And this event we have here is opening the door. Simple as that. Oh, I forgot to do this. So maybe I shouldn't have showed this yet, but if you don't click instance editable, you're not going to be able to edit it within the third person map here. And you're gonna see it while I click on the door. Actually, I think I'm actually done with this. So let me go back outside here. And when I drag this door in here, you can now see this trigger, but if I didn't hit instance editable here, so I can uncheck this, compile, I'm on the door and it's no longer visible. Like I don't have a way of changing the value for that. So make sure you put instance editable in here. Okay, so that's one thing I'm doing. And we can even actually see if it works. Did I? I didn't actually click the drop down menu for the trigger. There we go. So play, opens the door. Perfect. All right, so next I'm going to add explosions. So explosion, and they actually already have a blueprint effect already available. So I can actually drag that. If I take it and I drag it to content and I click copy here, it will make a copy of this blueprint effect. You can actually close out here. You can see exactly where it is because I dragged it into the content folder. Double click on here, and on this thing, if you look in the viewport, it's just an explosion. Now it's auto activating. So what we want to do is we want to turn off auto activate because we do not want it to auto activate. We want to set the condition for activate based on if you hit the trigger or not. So if I go back to variables here and I do trigger again, because that was fine the first time. Let's see. I'm just gonna go trigger and object reference, and I'm gonna create a new event here. I actually don't think so I don't need to actually create a new event because it is the explosion itself. So I'm just going to do event begin play and do it exactly the same way I did last time. Get trigger and assign on, no, it's just assign trigger. Okay. So let me drag this up here, drag this to here, trigger event, I'm going to take this trigger event and I am going to I want to activate. Is that the proper thing for this? Yeah, let's just say activate for explosion, audio, and all right. Just gonna drag it from here and then drag it onto here, and it'll automatically connect. Compile and save. And I think that's all I need to do for that, but we're gonna find out. So I'm gonna drag a blueprint effect onto here. And I didn't make it instance editable. So click on that, compile and compile save. Go back to the third person map and make it BP trigger. So make that explode. Where do I want to put these? Doesn't really matter. Doop. Doop. Alright. Forgot to do this one. Doop. And doop. Okay. So I'm going to hit play here. And when I cross over this box, it should go to each one of these things at the same time. So it's going to hit the door and then these explosions all at the same time. And then I can go through the door. And you can add whatever events that you want all together. And it'll activate them all. So, yeah. I hope I explained everything well, but I'm sorry if I didn't. Have a good one. Bye.